4 of season 2?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Welcome to Anything New. My name is Pete, and as always, I'm here with Matt.
What's up?
And Opie.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Anything New is the podcast where we talk about anything new we've been using, perusing, or consuming. Back with another episode. Episode 16. Got more pickups to talk about. First, we're going to hit on Mandalorian. This is season 2, episode 4. Story's really picking up. I enjoyed it just as much as all the other ones. It's certainly not slowing down on an action adventure.
No,
and we got a little bit of insight on more of the Empire stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which was huge.
Yeah, it's cool. I like, because the Star Wars universe is so big. Not everything has to be focused on Jedis and the Skywalker family. So I do like when we get other stories that aren't focused on that. So thinking like Solo, which I thought that movie was good. I really liked Solo. Most people don't. Or Rogue Squadron. Was it Rogue? No, Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Or movies or shows or whatever that don't involve Jedis or Skywalkers or any of that stuff. And so it's cool that The Mandalorian is another one of those that focuses on just something completely different in the Star Wars universe. But I also do like it when it kind of ties itself back into the classic. So, they've talked a little bit about Jedis, obviously, and there's a little bit of Baby Yoda type, stuff. But it's cool that we got to see like stormtroopers, like old school stormtroopers, and then being terrible shots, awful, horrible shots. And they talked about the Empire and they talk about the New Republic and the remains of the Empire, referencing when they were defeated in Episode 6. And so, yeah, I like when it does tie in to what we know, but also when it's not about Skywalkers and Jedis. I think it's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. It's very cool. The inside track on a lot of that, how when he travels from planet to planet, in the beginning where she took out that little band of bad guys. I love that race, those walrus guys. That's one of those guys was in the cantina scene that got his arm cut off.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't the guy that got his arm cut off, but he was the guy Ponda. Ponda Baba is his name in the first Star Wars. There's action figures for him. It's kind of why I know that. But anyway, So I love seeing that. Like last episode, we got to see the calamari guys. And then the squid face guys. So it's really cool how they expand on the whole universe. In just, it's the same, kind of feel. And I like the attention to detail on these episodes. Like even when they're opening the doors to that base, or they're going through the Empire's, any kind of structure or vehicle, it all feels like Star Wars, like the original 3 Star Wars. There's nothing kind of out of sync. Even the Stormtroopers comlinks, they sound like the Stormtrooper comlinks in the original trilogy.
And they're the weird little cylindrical thing, they look the same. I think that's kind of what I was getting at. Is I love when they tie into that stuff, because it looks like what we watched as kids. Like they stuck with that look.
Yeah, and I know they had limitations and things when we were kids of what they could use and how things looked, but they've just done a really good job. As far as the storyline goes, I feel like, again, it was kind of another side quest. I mean, anywhere he goes, he gets pulled into, hey, do something for me kind of thing, which he was kind of doing that to get his ship fixed, which they did a really quick job on fixing his ship. I was like, wow. So
I'm glad you said that, because like they said, I remember thinking that very thing. They said, well, it's going to take a while. And so Carl Weathers was like, well, hey, while you're waiting, maybe you could help us with something. And when they finished that mission, his ship was done.
Yeah.
Or even before the mission was done, because he was able to get to his ship to shoot down the TIE fighters. Wait, what? That was like 4 hours.
In the opening, when Baby Yoda was trying to cook that wire in, and he electrocuted himself, he was probably like, I was waiting for him to say, I've got to get a droid, or something like that. I was waiting for him to say something. He needs a droid. He needs a droid, I think, to go around with him. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping Do you guys feel like the episodes we've watched so far, and we may have talked about this on previous ones, that they've got to come back around, like they're hitting on different characters to bring them all together at the end in some big epic scene? I mean, Boba Fett's got to come back, right? He still has Boba Fett's armor, doesn't he?
Yes.
Was that his only appearance? I mean,
no, I don't know. I don't think
back.
so. I think he'll come back around. I don't think it's not going to be like the last episode of the season isn't going to be like some Avengers type. All the characters we've seen come back for. It's not going to be anything like that. I don't think we're not going to see the frog people. I think we will see Carl Weathers and Gina Carano's character. I hate that I forgot. I'm so bad with character names.
Yep.
I think we'll see them again at some point because they're too big of characters to not show up again, at least in this series. But yeah, I do think that well, you know what? I don't know. Now you've got me thinking about that. It was a big deal when Tamura Morrison was announced as playing Boba Fett. He's going to be, he's going to be in, or I don't know if he was even announced as Boba Fett.
Right.
But it was a big deal when it was announced that he was going to be in the series or in the season.
Right.
And when he popped up at the very tail end of episode 1, I was like, okay, here we go. He's going to, we're going to see him. And, I'm actually kind of wondering if he's just going to hang out on Tatooine and Mando's going to cruise along the galaxy and
keep his armor. But the armor's on the ship. Did the armor make it? It was hanging in a bag there on the Razor Crest in one of the episodes, correct? At the end of that episode or something?
I'm pretty sure he should.
Yeah,
okay.
He still has it.
There's got to be a reason. Either he has to go back to Tatooine or whatever. But did you guys kind of towards the end kind of catch it to where when he was talking to Carl Weathers' character and he was telling him he ran into the new rebellion? I guess the rebels, had won and they had kind of took over. That was his kind of dust up with the TIE fighters there in space in the last episode. It kind of made me think like the new rebellion. I guess it's been, there's been several years since the Death Star, was destroyed, but I guess they haven't put I thought the Senate would come back into place and the stars, they would kind of have that galactic government like in the prequels before the Emperor took over. I didn't really know that the rebels would kind of act like a policing force because in the end of this episode they were acting like cops at the end.
Oh yeah, it drives me crazy.
They're not like. Didn't they say New Republic? It's not like because they're not a rebellion anymore. Like they won.
He said New Rebellion, did he not, James?
Oh.
Do you remember?
Yeah. I like how he was how she called him blue, like police. Did you hear that?
Oh no, I didn't catch that.
Said something like
but yeah, I mean they're wanting to make sure that the Empire doesn't come back because you have to think about even though The Force Awakens is 30 years after Return of the Jedi, you have to think about what the government looks like at that point. You have the First Order, which that always confused me in that movie. Like, why are the rebels still rebelling? Like, maybe I just need to go back and watch it because I thought, like, why? They won. They should have been in power for the last 30 years after Return of the Jedi.
I guess they instead of handing the power back over to the local governments, they're just trying to see it in order. I guess they're acting like the United States does in the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying? I mean, is that not true or false? I mean,
they got bases on Tatooine. We got bases in Afghanistan,
and you have skirmishes of the Empire still popping up. I mean, the Empire from this series is still alive. I don't want to say alive and well because the Emperor's dead. They don't have any leadership, but they definitely have the rank of Moff because the last guy's a Moff, and it's just kind of weird how that all comes to play. I noticed that Empire officer told that spy he'll be rewarded in the next era. I was hoping I'm kind of wondering if this will even tie into the last three with the First Order coming about.
First Order?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. It seems like it's a little too early, though, because that's from Mando to Force Awakens, that's 25 years. So it seems like it's a little bit too far. But I know what you mean, and that's a good point. What did you guys think about the base, quote unquote base that they went to blow up turned out to be a laboratory, and there
Yeah.
were experiments in there. Like, what do you think all that was? Are they
So
trying to make?
that's yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's why that's their whole reason for wanting the child.
Yeah.
Right.
When they even talked about the M's,
The M count.
something about the M count, so midichlorian,
Yep.
like they know that's where.
Yep.
And I haven't looked any of this up. I just watched the episode probably 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
so I
me
haven't
too. Me too.
fact checked myself, but I'm
Yep.
assuming that that's what it means. That they've ran some tests and they found that maybe they killed some Jedi and did some lab stuff on them and say, oh well, look at this level, it's really high in them.
Yeah.
So maybe we can recreate them and make like super soldiers or something.
Yeah,
that they
definitely.
had in those tanks.
Yeah, definitely. It's either they're trying to recreate the Emperor, or they're trying to recreate a Darth Vader type character with midichlorian counts and something. They're definitely trying. They know that midichlorians do something special to Jedi, and they're definitely trying to recreate that in some kind of, whether it be a super soldier force or whatever. And there's always been, super stormtroopers in some of the expanded universe stuff, that are kind of on a different level and a different size than a normal stormtrooper. So who knows what it's for, but that is kind of cool to see that, the Empire has always been kind of, George Lucas kind of, his thoughts about the Empire was always like Nazi Germany, and the way that he kind of thought that they should act and form. And Nazi Germany did a lot of crazy stuff with kids and babies and trying to make the perfect soldier sort of thing. So that's probably what I took from it.
Yeah, when they said M count, I was like, oh, please tell me you're not talking about midichlorians, because I was kind of hoping, and I kind of thought that maybe, midichlorians, even though technically they're canon because they were in the prequels, they just were never going to talk about it. That happens in comic books all the time when a writer writes a story that is horrible and it introduces something that is awful and terrible and everybody hates it. When the next writer comes along and then the writer after that, they basically will it out of continuity because they never reference it again ever. And they just by virtue of the fact that they just never talk about it, it eventually everybody just accepts the fact that it didn't really happen because it was so bad. I can think of a Spider-Man story that happened to. But so I was hoping like, oh, maybe midichlorians, they never mentioned it ever except in episode 1, so maybe nobody will ever mention it again. And when they said M count, I was thinking, oh, please tell me they're not trying to stop trying to make midichlorians a thing.
One thing that let me ask you this: do you think these guys that go out and they're working for the Empire and they're soldiers, right? And they're like, oh, you're assigned to the biker scout division, because it always cracks me up how they never just if the base is getting attacked, right? They breach the walls. These guys have breached the walls. They're shooting up stormtroopers. There's not one biker scout coming out to help. They're just sitting in a break room somewhere, and then they're watching it on some security cameras, and they're like, oh man, well, we can't really do anything because we're not on a speeder bike. And then they're like, okay, now they've left. All right, now it's your guys' turn. And then they run out and hop on their speeder bikes. You never see them just jumping in and helping out.
That's true. I never thought about that before. Thanks for ruining Star Wars for me.
And they always, anytime there's a speeder bike chase, they always have to show the scene where the foot is like this and it goes, and put the pedal to the metal.
That whole chase referenced everything in every speeder bike chase ever. It was good. I kind of liked it though. I thought it was really cool. But there's no way the Razor Crest runs down a TIE fighter. I'm sorry. No, it's not the Millennium Falcon. Right. I'm sorry. It's too big of he couldn't outrun X-Wing. What makes him think that he could outrun a TIE fighter? There's no way.
Because the TIE fighters are supposed to be more nimble.
They are very nimble. Absolutely. There's no way. It was cool to see them all take off. That was kind of a big deal. I don't even think we were doing this on this season 1, but just to see the TIE fighters, that was the first time when he landed in the last episode of the first season, and his wings all folded up, that anyone's ever seen a TIE fighter and how they land not in a dock, in a docking bay. So that was a big deal. But it was cool to see him take off. After that.
What about my favorite part? Sorry, I thought I heard something. My favorite part, and I wonder if anybody else caught this or if this was intentional or not, but when they were trying to basically do whatever they had to do to blow up the base, right? And again, I'm bad with character names. The blue guy that was with Mando and Carl Weathers, him, they said, hey, go over there and, mess with that machine, whatever, and that machine was sort of way up and it was this cylindrical thing. And he walks up and said, there's no guardrails on this thing. That made me think of the Family Guy episode. And they're like, we just want a guardrail. Is that too much to ask for? That made me think of that.
I don't know why they always have to put, the Empire always has to put control panels on the opposite side of some kind of ledge or what? Right. Who's working on these?
Yeah, there's no engineering involved in that.
Every base or building or anything that the Empire makes has to be really, really easy to destroy as long as you can get to like this one part. So, you either shoot missiles down the shaft, although, Rogue One kind of explained that away, which I actually really, really liked. But the Starkiller base had the one hatch right on the surface of the planet. All you got to do is shoot that a couple times and Starkiller blows up. This base, all you had to do is reverse something in the vents and it would explode. Like, it's the terrible designs. They really should find a new contractor.
They should.
But
they alienate everybody, and then as they're designing it, they want to make a way for it to be destroyed. It's like their little way of, I don't know, like just putting themselves at ease. Like, I'm going to make this big weapon for the Empire, but I'll make it a little easy way to destroy it so I can sleep at night.
Right. Right. It's up to them to defend it. Yeah. But, I mean, we didn't really talk about the story of the episode, but I mean, I guess that was it with them. Just, them learning about the Empire is doing stuff and, making whatever it is that they're making, clones or whatever.
Yeah.
If he didn't need any repairs, would he have even went? Would this episode even happened?
Well, he wouldn't have been involved. I mean, Carl Weathers would have tried to, do it, but. And again, just like last week, did Mando ever even? Did he even really help with the mission? So we really need your help.
He opened the door.
That's right.
Yeah, he opened the door.
He flew up and took down the guy.
And he shot some guys. And
I think it was more, the episode was mainly to show that the Empire's kind of alive and well. And kind of brewing, and they're scheming and they're doing something.
The last scene in the when the Moff, I can't remember his name either. I got to pull the list up before we get on.
Yeah.
Were those suits or actual people? Were those blacks?
I don't know. Suits. Yeah, I think so too. I was wondering about that. Is that a new type of trooper? Some kind of trooper? Wasn't there a dark trooper in one of the expanded universe? Something?
Yes.
I kind of took it like the lab had the beings and they had the suits. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they were creating
if it's
the
canon,
beings to go in the suits.
If it's canon, Rogue One had the dark trooper. They weren't dark troopers. They were, I forget what they were, but they were black. The black suited troopers, death troopers is what they were called in Rogue One. The guys at the beginning that they would talk like that. They didn't speak English.
Oh, you know what?
I don't remember them.
The very first scene in Rogue One where they kill the parents and she goes and hides.
Okay, yeah.
Those black armored troopers are called death troopers in Rogue One.
Oh, okay.
You remember they were they never made any noise. They never made any legible sound.
I wanted to
Rogue One, man.
Oh, Rogue One's super good.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I liked it because it was part of the Star Wars universe that didn't involve Skywalkers and Jedi, which, there's plenty of story to tell. But I Googled Star Wars Dark Trooper because I wanted to remember what they looked like from what I remember from all the expanded universe stuff. And there's 3, on Google show you top stories. There's 3 different from Den of Geek and Screen Rant and some other site that says The Mandalorian, Dark Troopers Explain. The Mandalorian, Moff Gideon's Vader armor and Dark Troopers explained.
Yeah.
Mandalorian Dark Troopers revive a terrifying part of 90s Star Wars canon. So maybe they were. I mean, every Star Wars, like super duper Star Wars fan listening to this is screaming right now because we don't know. There's so much we don't know.
Right.
But that's cool. I mean, if wasn't it Rebels that brought in Admiral Thrawn? So he's canon now. So it's almost like they're finally starting to bring in some of the cooler stuff from the expanded universe. They're finally starting to canonize some of that. So give me Dash Rendar.
Ooh.
Give me Kyle Katarn. Dude, can you imagine how cool if like bring in Dash Rendar in this series? Like how cool.
And the Outrider? And then he flies in on the Outrider? That's such a cool shit. The Outrider is such a cool shit.
How cool. That kind of, I mean, you could almost have this series, but just sub in Dash Rendar for Mando, and it's the same. You could do the same show almost. I mean,
and if you don't know what we're talking about, the Nintendo 64 Shadows of the Empire video game.
Well, it's a book too.
It is a book too. But Dash Rendar is the main character in that, and basically the main villain's Boba Fett in that as well. And he has a ship called the Outrider, which is kind of, if you watch the re-enhanced Star Wars, the first Star Wars, the redo, where they added all the stuff in, you'll see it take off from Mos Eisley. They put it in that episode. But yeah, the ship is kind of a spin-off of the Millennium Falcon because it's kind of got the cockpit to the side, and it's a really cool ship.
Gosh, I used to have the Dash Rendar.
I've got your Dash Rendar. You gave that to me. I still have it.
I gave it to you.
Yeah.
So I need to stop looking for it then.
Yeah, you don't have any of that Star Wars stuff. You give it to me a long time ago.
Oh, okay, then can I have it back? No.
Well, awesome. Well, we need to move on. We've already spent almost 30 minutes talking about Mandalorian.
Sorry, our bad. Mandalorian's good. You guys should watch it.
Yes, watch it. All right, let's talk about Kingdom.
Yeah.
Kingdom's on Netflix.
Yes, it is. So Kingdom is anything new? Well, this is new to me in the last week. I started watching a show called Kingdom on Netflix. It's not a new show. I think it ran from 2014 to 2017. It originally aired on the DirecTV network.
Ooh.
3 seasons. Kind of weird. The first season is 10 episodes. The last season is 10 episodes. The second season is 20 episodes. 10, 20, 10. I don't really know why. But basically, this show is about, you guys know the actor Frank Grillo. He played Brock Rumlow / Crossbones in Captain America, Winter Soldier. He was in some of the Purge movies. Not the first one, but the later ones. He's been in I can't think of all. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. He was in some other Netflix movies. But it's about him, who is sort of a retired MMA fighter who owns a gym for, where you can train, where a lot of MMA fighters train. He has 2 sons. Nick Jonas is one of them. And then the actor who played a guy named Boone, who was like this real, like, sort of cold killer in the last season, Justified. He's the other son. They're both MMA fighters. And then one of the other MMA fighters is, I can't remember the actor's name. He played Luke Cafferty in Friday Night Lights, like the later 2 seasons. He's a champion MMA fighter, former champion MMA fighter who was in prison for a few years and is actually at the beginning of the series. He's just getting out of prison, living in sort of this halfway house for ex-cons. And but it's kind of like, it sort of makes me think about Friday Night Lights, in that Friday Night Lights was about high school football in Texas, but the whole show wasn't like just completely obsessed with football. Like, football was just the thing around which all these characters and situations revolved, and football was the connective tissue. Well, it's kind of like that, where you have all these different characters, all these different situations that they find themselves in, but it all revolves around MMA and this gym that Frank Grillo owns. And there's, so like I said, you've got the one guy coming out of prison. You've got one of the other sons who is a good fighter, but he's kind of crazy and unpredictable, and he's sort of unreliable.
Did you mention Nick Jonas was in this?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
He's one
sorry.
of the sons. Yeah, he's good in it. I mean,
Yeah.
you might, some people might think, oh, Jonas Brothers, but Nick Jonas was in like the new two new Jumanji movies. He's been
Yeah.
in he's a really good actor. He's good in this one too, and he has an interesting story that's that we saw a little bit of in the first season. I tore through the first season in like 3 days. Several episodes into the second season now. His storyline in particular is, I don't want to say what, but there's something happening with his character that's about to come to a head. But yeah, I mean, it's just completely grabbed me.
Mm.
Like I'd seen it in my Netflix recommendations for a long time, and I was like, yeah, I like Frank Grillo, and I like what's his name that played Luke Cafferty. I'll watch anything with Friday Night Lights actors in it, and so I was like, I'm not just like how I loved Nashville, the show Nashville, but I don't like country music. I don't watch MMA. I don't have any interest in MMA, but this show completely hooked me. About 15 minutes into the first episode, I was completely sold. And I'm just really interested in what's going to happen with these characters and their situations. And it's, different. The first season, the guy coming out of prison, his ex-fiance is now with Frank Grillo's character. Frank Grillo's character being the trainer / coach of the guy coming out of prison. So he's got to sort of deal with that. Just a lot of relationship drama, and there is some MMA fighting too and stuff. And, they win some fights, they lose some fights. You have to figure out how does that affect their life? Just, man, it's just so good. It is so
sometimes those shows that introduce you to a whole new world that you don't really know a lot about, like you're saying, like Nashville with country music, or this with MMA. It's interesting because it's just something different. It can kind of have, maybe the same kind of relationship issues that other shows have, but it's like set in a different whole universe around MMA. So it's I'm the same way. I kind of get hooked on shows where it's not the normal stuff that you would know that you see all the time. So I agree. Like sometimes, so this is wrapped around MMA, and so do they actually have fighting? Does it look legit, like real MMA fighting?
I mean, I don't know the difference. To me, it looks pretty good. I don't know if
would you say it's like Rocky fighting? Like when Rocky, like they look really fake.
Did they put the sound
Rocky
effects in? I mean, is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Rocky looks pretty good to me too. So I don't know. But there are there's a lot of the shows takes place in inside the gym. So you see a lot of guys sparring and training and stuff like that. But there are some episodes where they're actually in an MMA fight, in a match, and so and it I don't know. I just think it looks good and convincing. But I'm more interested in the drama around it, and one there was one of the characters won the fight, which should be a good thing, but he was sick when he fought, and he barely won, and so you think, okay, it's still a win, but that's affecting his chances to get a sponsorship and that kind of thing, and he kind of needs money, and it's just super. One of the actors in it is the guy who played I just talked about this with Dan. The guy, what was the movie about the Olympic bombing in Atlanta?
Oh yeah. The security guard.
Yeah, the guy that played that guy. Yeah, he the heavyset guy with the mustache.
Yeah.
He's in this show as also an ex-con, and he's really socially awkward, but he's roommates in the halfway house with the other fighter who came out of prison. So he's, like I said, he's socially awkward. So there's stuff with that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens with him in the first season. There's just so much character work.
Don't get scared.
And it all revolves around MMA, but it's just so interesting. Like I'm just invested completely.
Totally bizarre.
So 3 seasons. Is it still being? Is it over? Like
I've
been picked up.
I mean, it ran through 2017. There hasn't been anything since
Dolly
then.
does have a cartoon image.
Okay.
I don't know
so good.
if that's something
Well,
to do with detriment that she.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've been between shows for a while. I've got my treadmill show, but I haven't had I love having a brand new show to like sit down and binge several episodes if I'm not doing anything, and this is the next one for me, and it's awesome. It's awesome. Like all I want to do is just watch this show. It's so great.
that's kind of how I was going to save this one for next week, and I will save it for next week. But Diane and I started watching The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, and it's great. So I'll talk about it next week. Kind of same situation like you're talking about. So it kind of revolves around chess. So
Right.
who knew? Who knew I'd be watching a series about chess?
Well, see, and it's interesting how, when you talked about that before, and I was like, well, it's, I hear a lot of good things about it, but I don't want to watch a show about chess. But
Right.
stupid me didn't apply the same logics, thinking, well, it's not all about chess. It's just chess
Sure.
is the centerpiece, and
Right.
everything else revolves around that. That's how I should have thought of it. So now that kind of makes me think, okay, maybe I should watch it.
Yeah, awesome. So Kingdom on
Kingdom.
Netflix, 3 seasons. You check it out.
Yeah, and it's just just the word kingdom is all it is.
Yep. All right, Opie, you want to talk about what's this? Vinyl records? I guess this is your topic, right? I mean, you're the only guy I know that actually has vinyl records.
Yeah, and this will kind of tie into my pickups for today, so we'll go right into that after this, if that's okay. Is we got anything else going on? After that?
This is it.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about. You guys know I'm kind of a gadget vintage guy. I like my VHS. I like my Pete knows I like my CDs. I still have every CD I've ever bought from high school. And then some, and I still buy them when I see them, like in the thrift. But I've also got my parents' collection of vinyl records, and I've always had them, and I've kind of curated them and kept them all these years. My dad since have passed away, and my mom since gave me her side, because they kind of, when my parents kind of split up, she kind of took her records, he kept his records, and they've always been around, like either in milk crates or whatever. So I finally decided, like, listen, this is something my dad, like, really, he taught me how to use a record player and how to how to treat vinyl. Because, if you really care about it, there's certain ways you handle your vinyl records, of course, to keep them, safe. So I've kind of been seeing, being into music and listening to music, I've always seen new artists put out a vinyl copy of their albums. Even Blink-182 or any of the albums that I see, they'll try. And, I always kind of thought it was kind of a merch thing, but if you haven't noticed lately, if you go to Walmart and go to the electronics department, they're selling records now. And that had just came up within, I think, this last year. I had been going a lot and seeing them try to get back into the vintage game with VHS tapes. Like they had a little VHS tape section of some of the classic movies like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future and things like that people would want to pick up. But now they have kind of went full vinyl with these vinyl sections. And I did a little bit of research on it, because what I'm going to do is, I'm going to eventually, and like I said, this will tie into my pickups in a minute. I'm going to get into getting a little bit more vinyl here soon, and I'll talk about it on this show from week to week if I get new stuff. And I always look through the vinyl if I'm at a thrift store. I never can find anything good, but I was kind of researching this Walmart thing and thinking, well, was this just a fad? Is this just something that Walmart's doing to kind of just another thing for people to, sink their money into, which is kind of hard to say, because you with these vinyl records that they've got there, they're basically recopies of old music. Like you can get anything from Jimi Hendrix to the Beatles to Nirvana to Pearl Jam to Dr. Dre. They've got everything. It's just a variety of music. And I thought, there's no way that could be the real, like the vinyl community, like a hardcore collectors, they're not going to look at you and say, oh, you've got a Walmart copy of Nevermind. That's not an original press of, 1994 or 1992 when it came out. So I was thinking, is it worth, going and buying records at Walmart? And apparently from all the research I did, they've kind of put a lot of effort into this. Like we're talking like, they're pressing vinyl now with, have you guys seen like what they call the splatter vinyl? Like it's different colors and it's got like a splatter pattern. They're also pressing what they call like picture vinyl, which like there's an actual picture on the vinyl. And then when you play the record, but it's got a picture on it. Like Matt, if you go to Walmart and look through the vinyl, if you find the Guardian of the Galaxy's super awesome soundtrack or whatever it's called, it's got a picture of the face of, Star-Lord. He's just the record. It's the record is his face.
Nice.
Yeah, and they put him in these clear. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff that they're doing, and they call them Walmart exclusives the way they press the vinyl. So, I've kind of been looking around and to see kind of what people think about it, and a lot of people, there's a lot of positives about it. Now, some of the hardcore like vinyl collectors, like I follow a few people on Instagram. Well, I follow a lot of people on Instagram, but I've been watching some YouTubers that think that, well, why go to Walmart, because their vinyl, like, you can get just a single record, really nothing special, and it's kind of like at a $22, it's like $20 for a record, so it's kind of pricey. And they're like, you can go on, and the vinyl community, I don't really think, and I'm just now kind of getting into it a little bit more, they don't use eBay that much. They use a site called Discogs, and it's basically DISCOGS, and you can catalog your collection. It's kind of like the same thing as the used gaming community. You can catalog your collection. You can see how much it's worth, how much people are buying it for, and you can buy and sell records on there. The thing about being on there is, like, there's so many different intricacies, I'm trying to say, with each record. Like, there's so many different presses and when it was released and what version you have. It's kind of all over the place, but I was just thought I would see if you guys had seen that. And I know you guys aren't really interested in vinyl records, and it's really a weird thing right now, because you can listen to everything you've ever wanted to listen to on your phone, and it probably sounds great. But this is a kind of a thing, like, I guess it kind of got me excited about buying music again, because I used to love buying music. I used to love making trips, like where I was at, if it wasn't at Walmart, and that was when I was in high school and middle school, it was the old Walmart. It wasn't a super Walmart, so you didn't get the selection that you've got now. We used to take trips in high school to Knoxville and go to this place called the Disc Exchange, and we would get our music there. We would try to find import stuff, things like that. And
I spent probably $100 on one Pearl Jam bootleg CD.
Oh,
and it was like, it had Yellow Ledbetter on it, and
Yeah.
it had footsteps, and it was like, the cover just looked like something that was like it was like from a concert,
Yeah.
This was before you could burn CDs or
Yeah.
download music, This was like,
Yeah.
and like I had my Discman, and it was like, me and my friends would just listen to it. It was just like, oh my gosh, like, we have Yellow Ledbetter,
Oh, wow.
on a disc. Like,
That's
it's
cool.
like crazy.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it's just like, it was just different times,
It
like,
was. But this is kind of just, I guess people are into it now. And I think some of the hipsters, some of the younger kids I guess they're kind of into it. They're buying these like suit box, like if you go to Walmart, they've got a big display of these like suit box kind of record players and things like that. But everybody that that really knows their vinyl, that think, those are garbage. I mean, things like that is, it's just like, it's like buying
So, what kind of record player do you have? Like, do you have like your old one, or has technology changed for the actual record players?
Well,
like, do they make better needles and all that stuff?
Well, yes and no. I've got an old Pioneer, like, it's got a record player, a tape deck, and a little equalizer that I got from Goodwill back in the day. It had a couple of speakers, and it was on a little rack. But I had my parents growing up, and I even took it away to college. It was a vintage, like, 1970 Sony that they had that I would listen to. But like, if you want to listen into vinyl now, it's basically just a turntable. You get your turntable, and you get your preamp or your amplifier, and then you just like whatever you run your surround sound or your CDs through, and you just plug it in. A lot of people, I've watched a lot of videos, because I'm thinking about buying a good one, to invest a little money in it, because you want one with like a counterweight on the arm, so the arm's not really bearing down on the record and damaging the record.
Ooh.
And there's a lot of stuff.
I've never thought about that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff that it's involved with. But anyway,
What are you running, Matt? I'm running a 12-gram counterweight.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
I've got a special graphite needle that I use.
12 gram 12 grams is a little harsh, but I am listening to a little bit more R&B today,
Yeah,
so
Right,
I need a little bit more
yeah.
deeper,
Oh man,
deeper needle
it
penetration.
gets technical. Like I watched some guys compare some turntables, and I'm like, I was like, man, that's I don't even know. I don't even know. But what I'm going to do, and this is going to go and so I went on to Amazon and I picked up a little record care system. This is a little
Big fudge.
yeah, Big Fudge. It's one of the number one recommended ones on Amazon. It was on eBay. Everybody's got super great reviews. But when I was growing up, my parents had
Wait,
just
what is that? Record care? Like, it's like you clean your records?
yeah, you clean the records. You clean your
Okay.
records with. So basically, when I was growing up, we had just a little roller. It was like a roller. It looked like a roll of quarters, and it was
Yeah.
velvet. And you would just
Put it in
take
stock
it.
and beat people with it? Yeah.
You would take it around the record and just take kind of the fingerprints off. But this actually has a fluid you put on the record, and it has a special brush, and you wipe it off, and then you dry it, and it removes all the dirt and dust from it. So I'm going to go through my whole album collection, which I think I've got close to 150, maybe 200 albums. I'm going to go through and clean them all and catalog them and give you guys the update, kind of have what I've got on there as well. But I just wanted your guys' thoughts and see if you'd seen that or heard anything on that. I mean, I'm a little bit more into that sort of thing, I guess. And I'll let you know when I get everything set up.
I mean, vinyl, the resurgence of vinyl isn't anything new. Like, it's been around
Right.
for years.
Yeah.
Have you talked to, so this is a little bit inside baseball for anybody who doesn't know us, but have you talked to Dave about? 'Cause Dave's a
No,
big-time
no, and I
vinyl
actually
guy.
yeah, he is, and I'm going to talk to him about it. Like I was going to see if he had any doubles or knew of anybody that was going to,
Yeah.
get rid of some stuff. I would like to kind of boost up my collection, but I just thought it was exciting. Like, the first thing that came to mind is like it would be really cool to have that MGK album on vinyl, just because it was something cool that I liked for the first time in a really long time.
Yeah.
And going and buying a CD, you can listen to it in your car, but you got your phone for that now. It's like if you wanted like a kind of an experience at home, you could put it on, and it's just kind of something to do for somebody who wants to listen to music. It's just something to do, and there's no reason you would need to buy records when you can go to Spotify and listen to every single thing that you ever wanted to listen to,
Dude,
true.
you are talking to the guy who I have tens of thousands of comic books I can read on my iPad right this second. And I have, in the last month, found all I want to do is go to the comic book store every day and buy comic books, even though I can just read them on my iPad. Like,
Yeah.
why do I need to buy comic books? But I've rediscovered that love and that excitement about going to get the new books, or not even the new books, just books that I could read right this second. And it's just, like I said, it's something to do. It's something to collect. And like you said, you kind of think about getting maybe the Machine Gun Kelly, because that's something new that you've discovered.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in my physical books that I've been buying some of these new series that are coming out, like the number ones, just because I'm not behind on those. Like, they're just now starting and I'm way behind on everything I've been reading. So I don't have to try to catch up with these new series. Sure, I could wait a couple months for them to hit my digital service and then read it that way. But it's like, I've found the love for it again. I'm going to start with these titles. So just like you found the love for buying records again, you want to buy something that you recently discovered. I mean, it's the same, and even talking about the different presses, and same with comics, different variant covers and the different printing. It's all the same stuff. It's just all about what you want to collect. And I think it's a good thing that there's more ways to get that stuff, whether it's comics or music or movies or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a good thing there's more ways to get to it, and then you just figure out which one you like best.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that. It's going to be a big thing coming up, so just stay tuned for more updates. I've got something else that I'll talk about next week coming that I'll get this week that even ties into this. So moving on, I picked up some toys again this week. Imagine that. They're awesome. I picked up another Transformer. This is Wheeljack.
Nice.
The
I
War
love
for
it.
Cybertron. Now, this is the Earthrise one that I was telling you guys about, the second series where this has not been released. But in the first series, I don't know if you guys had a chance to click over or watch that or not. Wheeljack has a pretty big role in the first one. He's with Bumblebee pretty much the whole first couple of episodes, and he's a really good character in this, and he looks really awesome transformed,
Ooh.
and he's really cool. And I also, Matt, thanks to you, I don't know if you replied back to me, but we were discording back and forth, and on Instagram, you sent me a picture of someone finding something at Aldi. Remember?
Yeah.
And I went to my Aldi that day, and they had one that I wanted, and this is Smokescreen, and he looks really good. Like, I really can't wait to open these guys up and kind of display them like this. But Smokescreen, he was one that I saw in a toy video. Someone was just kind of looking at him, and he looks cool transformed. And I was super pumped to find him because I couldn't find him at Walmart, but I found him at Aldi thanks to Instagram. Thanks for you sending me that, because some of the toy followers that we follow, they like you. Walgreens or anything the same way, people will post that they spot these figures, and to be on the lookout. And I've got an Aldi in my town. It's the kind of the discount grocery store, kind of all in one. It's like, Aldi reminds me of meat and stuff from Parks and Rec, or food and stuff. Is that what? Is that what Ron Swanson goes to get all this stuff? Is food and stuff?
Yeah,
It's food and
I
stuff.
think so. I think, doesn't everybody shop there?
Because
in,
it's
Parks and
got
Rec?
food and stuff. Like,
Right.
Aldi is mainly food, and then kind of in the middle there's stuff. And they changed that
Aldi
stuff.
is strange.
Let me tell you, we've got a water slide from Aldi. We almost got a trampoline from Aldi one time. I mean, they have these ads in the paper, and they have some weird deals that come up, and they're just can't beat deals.
Yeah, it's whatever they can get a deal on, I think. You can't go to Aldi and say, like, I want to go get some Kraft shells and cheese.
No.
Like, they won't have that.
No.
They won't have Kraft shells and cheese. They'll have, like, Craig's shells and cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
And it'll be in like a weird package.
Yeah.
And it'll be like the Kraft shells and cheese, but not really.
And see,
so
Aldi,
it's always odd stuff.
The best thing about Aldi is the shopping carts, because all the shopping carts are locked together, Matt, and you put a quarter in to unlock your shopping cart. And when you go put your shopping cart back in the carriage, you get your quarter back.
Yeah.
It's for real.
It's
for real.
You don't get any bags either, right?
Yeah, you have to bring your own bags.
You got to bring your own bags. It's like they try and keep costs down.
Yeah.
So like that's why they don't have anybody go out and like pick up carts, because you got to take it back yourself.
Yeah.
You bag everything yourself. You bag it into bags that you brought.
That sounds like
Save-A-Lot?
Was it Save-A-Lot?
Yeah.
I think.
Kind of.
I remember when growing up, we had a grocery store, kind of a smaller one.
Yeah.
And
Bubba Cola, citrus.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
It was like, yeah.
And yeah, I remember, like, I didn't shop there much. I went in there a few times just to get like one thing, and people would be like, the cashiers would be scanning stuff and then just slide it down to this big square area, and the customer was sitting there bagging it.
Yeah, they used to throw, like at Save-A-Lot, they would like keep all their extra boxes at the end, so you would grab a box and put your groceries in it and leave with it a lot of times. But anyway, is J-Dub in your chat? Is he on Twitch watching at all?
Anything, no.
Oh no. So J-Dub, shout out to J-Dub, posted this in one of our Discords that we were on, and it kind of like, I was like, oh yeah, and I watched a video of it, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. So they had it on rollback at Walmart, and I kind of splurged, but I got the Mega Bloks Halo Warthog.
Move over, Mega Constructs He-Man.
Yeah.
Hope he's buying all the Halos.
Well, I just want this one.
Is that a Warthog?
Yeah, it's a Warthog. It would just look really cool from the video. It's like I actually got the rubber tires and everything and the suspension.
Okay.
So the video he linked, it was the reason I bought it. It may be impulse buy it, but it was on rollback at Walmart. So I grabbed it. I'm just going to buy this one that kind of sit on the desk. I have literally a tote. Guys, if I could ever go back and show you pictures of the when Gavin was into the Halo, of all the
I
Halo
remember you showing me all this stuff. It's
mega
awesome.
blocks that I put together from the original Halo series. It's insane. I put together a scorpion. I put together the mammoth, the one that hauls, like you could fit. The thing was so big you could park one of these inside of it.
Yeah.
The pelican, which was the Marines drop ship or whatever. Gosh, I put together endless warthogs with missiles, warthogs with Gatling guns. I mean, that there's a drop ship. There is if you look at the camera, did I move it? Right there on that ship, that's a Halo drop ship. It's a purple ship that's right up there. But anyway, that's what I did this week.
I just want to take this moment to say what a huge mistake it was to not have a Halo game ready at release for the Series X. We can move on now, but just my personal opinion. Major mistake.
Yeah, but would you
mistake.
rather it have been rushed out or let them take
No,
their time and make
It should have been ready.
But they took their time and had it ready for a new console that they know is coming in 5 to 7 years.
Maybe if what they showed of Halo Infinite didn't look exactly like Halo 1, maybe they'll feed the backlash from the fan community wouldn't have been so bad. And maybe I don't know why they held it back, but when I'm not a big Halo fan, but even I was excited for Halo Infinite. It's like, oh, I can't wait. And when they finally showed it, I was like, this looks like Halo Combat Evolved but it just prettier. So, I don't know if they're holding it back to try to spruce it up a bit, but I don't know. I wasn't super impressed.
Me either, but they should have had something that was awesome.
I agree. That would have been huge to have Halo Infinite.
It would have.
To have it on the series. But you know what? It'll get released whenever it's released, and a year from now, everybody will have forgot about how it wasn't ready. Because everybody will have an Xbox Series X, everybody will have Halo, and it won't be a big deal. I think.
Opie, you got any other pickups?
That's it. I'm done. I'm done. Thank you.
All right, Matt, it's your turn. I have 0 pickups this week.
Come on, man.
I know. Let me just say what I've been doing real quick. I've been playing a poop ton of Genshin Impact. And
you love that game.
I'm addicted to it and I love it a lot. And I love the soundtrack. And they released the soundtrack on Spotify and it's incredible.
Bro, that's a pickup.
Really? That's pretty cool.
And so I was like, oh, well, they'll probably be like, 8 or 10 or 12 songs on there. There's like 30 songs on the soundtrack and you can listen to them all. And a lot of them are just like ambient music. It reminds me and I hate comparing it to Breath of the Wild because it gets compared to Breath of the Wild, but just the ambient song noise in Breath of the Wild that is so incredible. It's like that, but in just as good, if not better, I think. But anyway, Genshin Impact, I'm just playing the crap out of it. They put in a big event that's been going on for like the last 4 days. They keep adding new content. It's a really good game and I love it. And I'm a little worried because tomorrow Shadowlands for World of Warcraft starts up.
Yes.
And I gotta get in and start leveling up, my tunes. So that Opie and Dan and all of our friends, Matt and Rhoda, don't run off and leave me. So I'm going to have to do that. But, I kind of wish it would have been pushed back like another month so I could just keep playing Genshin Impact. But maybe it'll be good. I can play WoW and keep the itch to play Genshin Impact by forcing myself away from it a little bit. So that's what I've been doing.
That's cool.
That's your pickups is your what do they call it when you open the loot box? Yeah, your wishes.
A wish.
Yeah, that's your pickups for the week.
That is
Opie,
my
I think maybe we're a couple more weeks away. If we can get him to play Genshin Impact for a couple more weeks, he might just start watching anime. We might make an anime fan out of him yet.
That is cool.
Well, I guess, this game has kind of taken over like the mobile downloads. It's like really high up on like Profit and all this stuff. Like tons of downloads, tons of people playing it. It's huge in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess just like huge. Like and they've already like on the forums they're talking about like these mini series that are coming out based on the lore and all this stuff. So like I guess in Asia it's just like kind of blown up. So
And real quick, listeners, save your emails. I know that Genshin Impact is a Chinese game and anime is Japanese. Don't at me. But I'm just saying, it's very anime-esque. It has that same feel. So that's what I meant by that. Don't come at me like that.
Yeah. Don't come at him like that.
Don't.
All right. What's your pickups for the week, Matt?
Oh man. Well, first off, I got, and I think I'm going to slow down on these because I'm starting to get, they're starting to get a little bit more expensive, and it's going to be hard to show. But I got the full set of the 1994 Marvel Universe trading cards. So I've talked about trading cards before.
Yeah.
I went through all mine, organized them, got them all in binders. I've got like five binders full now of different series of cards. As I was going through them, the point of me going through them was to find cards, like find what all I had, find cards that I had forgotten about. And this series, this 1994 Marvel Universe series, I had several. I had forgotten all about them, completely forgotten about them. And I really liked them, and I wanted this set. So I went on eBay, found a full set, and that's what all those pages are right there.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, like, baseball. I don't know nothing about comic book cards, but I do know about baseball and basketball and football cards. On the back of those cards, there's like stats and stuff.
Yeah.
Like previous seasons. What's on the back of a comic superhero
It's pretty
card?
cool.
Well, it depends. So like that's just one
Like
of them. So they'll
Like a
give
bio or something.
yeah, like a bio. This series is weird because half of it is talking about like a storyline, but it'll give you, if this were a character, it would give you a little bio, and some of the older series give you like power meters. So strength 7, intelligence 4, speed 2, that kind of thing. But and then as some of them don't have anything like that, but different series don't have a bio but have the power ratings. Some series are the opposite of that, so it just depends. But yeah, a lot of them are like that. But I found a website that shows a lot of them from a lot of these different series, and as the series get later, I don't like them as much. Like the art starts to not be as good, and I don't know. So I think I'm going to hold off. I think I've satiated my hunger for these cards for a while. These are certainly not. I don't own all this series, but I think I'm good. Like I think I've gotten the ones I want, and everything else I don't really care for. So,
there's got to be an omnibus in there somewhere.
Well, thanks to Opey. Showing me on the Instagram, I was able to get Red Hulk.
Ooh,
The Marvel Legends Red Hulk
cool.
from stupid glare. Yeah, from Target. I ordered him from Target.com, and he came in. So he's kind of in line with that big Venom figure I got. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Is that new?
That looks good. I like his face.
It came out, I think, around the summertime. It's new this year for sure, but it's not like brand new just now hitting. It was exclusive to Target.
Yeah.
And I never found, I think our buddy J-Dub, I think he actually found him in his Target over the summer when he did first come out. I never found him in mine. But I was able to order him from Target.com, so he looks pretty cool. And then
was he the normal $25?
30.
Ugh.
These bigger ones are 30. So like him and the Venom. That's
so
the Venom ones in the same packaging. It was 30.
Would we call him Thunderbolt?
Well, yeah, you could, because when he first showed up in the comics several years ago, nobody knew like who is Red Hulk, who is he really, and it turned out to be General Thunderbolt Ross.
Thank you. Do you like how I just pulled that out of there?
Yeah,
that's from Wikipedia.
Oh, nice.
I want to look him up because he does. That looks awesome.
Yeah. So but the funny thing that people used to talk about is General Thunderbolt Ross has this big bushy white mustache. But Red Hulk doesn't, and all the fans used to say, "Where does this mustache go?"
It burns off when he turns into Red Hulk.
I guess so. And I think there was a different Red Hulk later. I don't know much, and it was a different guy. I didn't read that, so I'm not too sure. All right. So, and then I actually didn't know. I thought I showed this last week, but I don't think I did. I got the hardcover of Batman 3 Jokers, the full 3-issue thing. So it's not an omnibus. It's just. But I talked about the first issue of Batman 3 Jokers on this show several weeks ago, or a long time ago, actually. And it was just it always intended to be 3-issue thing. And the third issue came out, and then they made a little hardcover collecting all 3 of them. So that's pretty cool. And then, yeah, Pete, you were right. I got another omnibus, the giant size. Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, it doesn't start with X-Men number 1. It actually starts with Giant Size X-Men number 1, which is the Chris Claremont stuff, Dave Cockrum. This is where X-Men actually gets good. Like, I think this was around like 1975.
Why is it giant size? Tell me where the giant size comes in.
Well, because when this came out, it was 68 pages. It was a 68-page book.
Oh.
Whereas regular comics are like 20 or 22 or something like that. This is where it introduced. This isn't the first appearance of Wolverine, but this is where Wolverine joined the X-Men, Nightcrawler, Colossus. This is like a lot of their first appearances.
The actual giant size X-Men number 1's pretty valuable book, isn't it?
Yeah. It's one of the like the most sought after Marvel comics because it was the introduction of most of these X-Men.
I remember
these guys right here.
I remember watching Jay and Silent Bob's comic, so that show, what was that called?
Comic Book Man,
and they were talking about the giant size X-Men.
I loved the X-Men cartoon growing up. I watched quite a bit of it. Like, I thought it was a great cartoon.
Yep, it was pretty good. I've got volume 2 coming, I think, this week. Spoiler, I should have spoiled pickups for next week, but it picks up right the very next issue. So whatever issue goes right there, it picks up right in the next one. So that was pretty cool. Picked up the She-Hulk omnibus from writer Dan Slott. This has 2 different series of She-Hulk in it because it's like 30 something issues. This one was actually priced for like $40. Normally $100. It was like 60% off. So I just got this one just because of the price, pretty much. And I've never read any of these. And then I got the Batman Road to No Man's Land omnibus.
Look at that one.
Daggone.
This thing is super heavy.
War and Peace.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was a big story in the 90s called No Man's Land, and Gotham City was hit with like a 7.5 earthquake, and it was a disaster area. And I think the government even like declared it, like cut it off from the rest of the country, basically. This is the story that leads into that.
Ooh.
So hopefully they'll release that as an omnibus at some point.
That is a big book.
And I got one more thing. So, but since the last show, I've been in my comic book store twice. Got 2 different pickups. I got a stack of books from Instagram, from a guy on Instagram. Opie, you know about that one. I made a YouTube video about that. I got another stack of comics, just comics, no big deal. One comic that I left out of my Instagram video, I was saving it for this one. It's because it's this one right here, He-Man and the Master of the Universe number 1. It's the first one from DC Comics from, I think, 2012. And I didn't talk about this one on the video because this one is for you, Opie.
Oh, thanks.
What?
I got that for you.
Oh.
So you can put that like back there with your He-Mans or whatever.
My He-Man shelves and stuffs.
So, DC has made like a few different He-Man series. This is again, it's not a rare comic. It's not a valuable comic, but it's a cool cover. And, it's the beginning of DC's various He-Man series. You've got, this is just the regular one. You've got DC Universe versus Master of the Universe, where you get like Superman and Batman hanging out or fighting all the guys from Eternia. There's the He-Man and the Masters of the Multiverse, which a bunch of different He-Man, like the movie He-Man, the cartoon He-Man, like they all sort of come together. So there's different series, but I got this one. This is the first one from DC, and I got it for my buddy Opie for helping me with all the comics and all that, all the collectibles and stuff. So that's gonna go up to Opie's shelf, and you can put it on the shelf or wherever with your He-Man stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
So I didn't mention it. So I got this one from that guy Silver Age on Instagram.
Yeah.
This is another one of the books I got from him, but I didn't put it in my YouTube video because I want to save it for this.
Sweet. Thank you.
No problem. And that's it. That's all for my pickups. I'm pretty sure they're starting to. I kind of get so much stuff now. I keep forgetting, but I think just a couple stacks of comics is all that's left, and it's just just regular comics. That's it for me.
That's
awesome.
That's a pretty good session of pickups. I mean, you just keep bringing it each week, bringing the omnibus heat.
I know.
You're gonna have to get a shelf, kind of put up like Opie has back there, so we can start displaying those omnibuses.
I'm working on it. So I've got a space over there. You can't see it, on the other side of my couch, where I'm gonna put a shelf for the omnibuses. I'm gonna set up my little YouTube video recording spot.
Yes.
That's
Oh yeah.
if you could see my room, this room has never been messier down here right now. You can't see it, but I've got a bunch of junk over there that I've got to clear out, and I got this week off, so that's what's going to happen this week. So,
Got to get it neat and tidy. All right.
Yep.
Well, I think that wraps up this episode. You guys got anything else before we go? Let's real quick hit on the social medias. Anything New Cast on Twitter.
Boom.
You can follow us on Instagram. Anything New Podcast if you're on the gram.
Yep.
And our Gmail, if you want to drop us an email, is anythingnewpodcast@gmail.com. We check that regularly, even though we don't get very much correspondence from our listeners.
I mean, we got
But
some
it's
marketing
okay.
companies wanting to invest in the podcast, but nothing that we're ready to sign on the dotted line for.
Yeah, we don't really want to talk about it.
We're holding out for a better offer.
That's right.
Well, awesome. Well, you guys got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, that's it. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Good Thanksgiving. Be safe.
Oh,
if
shout
you're gonna
out
travel.
Shout out to Gavin Lawson. He turned 15 today. I have a
Happy birthday, Gavin.
The G-Man turning
Yep.
15.
Shout out to him. He bought
awesome.
Modern Warfare Cold War today with his birthday money, so he's going to be
Oh,
of course,
nice.
screaming at the computer for the next while he's on Thanksgiving holiday.
I've heard the campaign is fun. I haven't seen too much of the multiplayer. But
I heard it's
people say
short.
the
Well,
campaign's good.
it's going to be short. It's short like every other because Modern Warfare game. But hey,
Yeah.
good to
It's
go.
supposed to be kind of like an action adventure movie. Like there's tons of action, tons of adventure.
I mean, this is the only way our kids are going to learn history nowadays is just to play it through video games. I mean, maybe this will take him through the Cold War in the 80s. And he'll like, who is Mikhail Gorbachev? And I was like, well, that would be, who's Ronald
And it was
Reagan?
gonna say, I don't know.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week for episode. What are we going to be on? 17?
Next week will be 17.
17.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll catch you guys next time.
All right,
See you guys.
See ya. All right. Craig is gone. Thank you, Facebook. We're going to jump off there.
Yep. Twitch.
Thanks for
Thanks
hanging
guys.
out.